So welcome again. Let's begin with the prayers. Om Ajnanaatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gatamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Devi Pranamami Hari. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we're going to start level 2. So today it is chapter 1. Understand Bhagavad-Gita. So Bhagavad-Gita is timeless, right?
Yes.
Gives us insights into our world, soul, God, true love, and happiness. After finishing the 18 days course, kind of got the big picture. We understand what is the ultimate perfection of life. End of 18th chapter, that's the message. And also, there are so many books written on yoga. If you go to the market and look at the library or anything, on the bookstores, you'll see so many books written on yoga. But you know, if you want one book which gives us the true meaning of yoga, it is Bhagavad-Gita, spoken by God himself, and he doesn't want to confuse anybody. The message is simple, direct, easy to understand. There are so many instructions in Bhagavad-Gita, but the message is clear, very straightforward. At the end of, if you finish all the chapters, it becomes very clear. You will know what's the right course of action. We have to chant, we have to become a devotee, we have to surrender to Lord Krishna and please Krishna, and then we'll reach the ultimate perfection of life. So let's begin. This is Srila Prabhupada. Let's pay our obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. And we are learning, whatever we are learning is based on the teachings of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of ISKCON. Let's pay our obeisances to Sri Radha Govinda. Is my voice clear? Am I audible?
Yes, Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Bhagavad Gita is an epic scripture that has the answers to all our problems. It was considered a spiritual dictionary by Mahatma Gandhi, and it is a book of inspiration for many readers across the planet. These divine instructions are for everyone. The ultimate message of Gita is Krishna is the original supreme spiritual master, he is the father. We have to chant his glories, offer devotional service, and it is very, very difficult to change our nature. You must have heard about the 3 modes of material nature and a lot of other things in the 18 days course. But by studying more and more, we develop a higher taste. We can overcome lower conditions and lower natures easily. So here, those who meditate on the Gita will derive fresh joy and new meanings. Some testimonies from great people in our history. This is Mahatma Gandhi saying that. And then when I read the Bhagavad Gita and reflect about how God created this universe, everything else seems so superfluous. And then also in Bhagavad Gita, we learn about Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojan. Sambandha, to know our relationship with Krishna. We have to understand our relationship with Krishna. Abhideya is to follow the process, act according to that relationship. What are the activities we have to perform in that relationship? And Prayojan, goal, results of the efforts. Our ultimate goal is to reach Goloka Vrindavan, is to reach the ultimate goal by through the devotional service. Slowly, as we go on to the next chapter, and then 3rd and 4th and 5th and 6th, and we reach Bhakti Yoga chapter and many more chapters, the message becomes clearer and clearer. So the ultimate necessity of our life is explained by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He says the greatest necessity for a human being is the achievement of love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna Prem. Okay, why ISKCON's Bhagavad Gita as it is? You must have heard this in the 18 days course also. Do you want to explain why as it is? Any one of you can raise your hand and give the answer. Prabhupada says in the introduction, if you read the book, he says there are more than 600 translations of Bhagavad Gita. What is so special about Bhagavad Gita as it is?
It is mentioned as it described originally with no other interpretations or something.
The authenticity of Vedic literature, right? Some people write their own personal motivated interpretation. Then it, they call it their. So that's the message of Gita. That's what they say. But it becomes their Gita. If they write their own, interpretation coming from their own mental concoction, then it is their Gita. It is not Bhagavad Gita. So in ISKCON, we belong to Gaudiya, Brahma Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, and we know there are 4 prominent sampradayas, and Prabhupada is coming from Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. And Bhagavad Gita means song sung by Krishna. Due to lack of contact between the source and the receiver, Bhagavad Gita had to be spoken by Krishna again to Arjuna, and we understand Bhagavad Gita through Arjuna. It was all Krishna's arrangement. So whatever we learn here, we have to learn how Arjuna is learning. So, and Bhagavad Gita must be heard and understood by a pure devotee only, like our Srila Prabhupada, coming from, he's coming from a parampara system. So we have to understand like that from devotees in unbroken chain of disciplic succession. Okay. Now verses in Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna speaks 574 verses. Arjuna speaks 84. Sanjaya 41. Dhritarashtra only 1. 5 things discussed in Bhagavad Gita as it is. Who wants to know this? Or if anyone already knows the answer, can you raise your hands and tell me what are the 5 things discussed in Bhagavad Gita as it is?
Hare Krishna Mataji, first thing is that Krishna is the Supreme Lord and he is the controller of the whole universe. This is the one thing I can say from Bhagavad Gita.
Hare Krishna Mataji. But there are 5 things discussed, the 5 topics, main topics covered in Bhagavad Gita. Who can tell me those? Netali Mataji, Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. 5 things discussed in Bhagavad Gita as it is are Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, and Karma.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Your voice is kind of feeble, but I could hear you. Ishvara, Jiva, Kala, Prakriti, and Karma. Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, and Karma. Okay. Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala are eternal, but Karma is temporary, manifested and annihilated. Ishvara is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Krishna is discussed. Then we discuss Prakriti, material nature. Jiva, soul. Kala, time factor. And Karma. Karma means activity that gives another material body to the conditioned soul. The mood of Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna's bewilderment and appearance of illusion must be understood to be Krishna's arrangement. So it was Krishna's arrangement. He put Arjuna into illusion so that he could speak Bhagavad Gita, so that we all could learn Bhagavad Gita through Arjuna. If not for Arjuna's confusion and bewilderment, there would have been no necessity for Krishna to speak the Bhagavad Gita to rescue him. Although Arjuna is the apparent first listener of the Bhagavad Gita, it is for the benefit of everyone. Arjuna's indecisiveness. Krishna drove the chariot in midst of both armies. Arjuna was in difficulty in having to fight the battle of Kurukshetra. He surrendered unto Sri Krishna, and consequently, this Bhagavad Gita was spoken. This is the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. This was the theme. So every journey begins with a single step. Let's begin the journey into the mysticism of Gita. Sarva Upanishadu Gavo Dugdha Gopalanandana Sudhir Bhokta Gita Mahat. All the Upanishads are like a cow. Milker of the cow is Lord Sri Krishna, the son of Nanda. Arjuna is the calf, and the beautiful nectar of the Gita is the milk, and the fortunate devotees of fine theistic intellect are the drinkers and enjoyers of that milk. So Arjuna Vishada Yoga, Arjuna's yoga of lamentation. Observation of the armies. Okay, here, what is the eligibility criteria to listen to Krishna, listen to Bhagavad Gita? Who is eligible? Who is eligible to listen to all these instructions that Krishna is giving us here? You know? You can take a guess. You can just answer. Let's see.
Everyone.
Yes, Mataji. You're kind of correct. Yes. Sahili Mataji. Yes. Anyone in the world who is going through the cycle of birth, death, old age, can benefit from this knowledge. Right? And they can hear Bhagavad Gita. They are eligible to receive this knowledge. We cannot bind Krishna to one particular land, sect, because Krishna is the supreme, just like sun. Sun belongs to everyone. So Krishna also belongs to everyone. He's all attractive and he attracts everyone. And if someone is fortunate enough to understand Bhagavad Gita, the help of Lord Krishna in the line of disciplic succession, is said that that person, that information, whatever he learns, it surpasses all studies of Vedic wisdom. So all the scriptures in the world, is that important. This one book can really take us back to Godhead. Chapter 1. We have two sections, section A and B. Introduction, preparations for war, Arjuna's doubts. Introduction, preparations for war, signs of victory, Krishna as Bhaktavatsala. Okay. Different reactions to the same scene. You see here, just a minute. Okay. Here we know cousins from the same family have gathered to fight for political reasons. Duryodhana, on the Kaurava side, refused to share the kingdom with the Pandavas. Yudhishthira is the leader from Pandava's side. They tried to negotiate, but Duryodhana did not budge. He refused to give the kingdom to the Pandavas. He said he would give land equivalent to a tip of a needle also. So sometimes war is inevitable when negotiations fail. Prabhupada explains this very beautifully in the purport. Please read it. So they tried and tried, but this was the last resort. So now fight is about to begin. Arjuna told Krishna to bring the chariot in the midst of the armies, and he wanted to have a look at all the people on the opposite side, his family, his friends, all of them who have gathered there to fight. Then let's see what happens. If anyone wants to recite the verses, you can keep your hand raised. Whenever there is a verse, you can recite. Dhritarashtra Uvacha. Doesn't anyone want to chant this? Sahili Mataji, Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji, you can recite.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dhritarashtra Uvacha. धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे समवेता युयुत्सवा ममक्क बन्धवश्चैव किं कर्तु अकुर्वत संजय.
Mataji, Hare Krishna. So Dhritarashtra speaks the first verse. Right? Dhritarashtra speaks the first verse. This is the only verse he speaks actually. Dharmakshetra means, okay, this is Kurukshetra, Dharmakshetra. It is called Dharmakshetra. We'll try to understand the significance of these terms. The battlefield of Kurukshetra is a sacred place of pilgrimage. It's been so from time immemorial, since Vedic age. So it's a place where all the religious rituals were performed. And in the Vedas also it's mentioned that even the denizens from heaven used to come and worship there. So Dhritarashtra actually is very fearful. He is doubtful here because he is worried about the influence of this holy place on the outcome of the battle. Why? Because he knows Pandavas are very pious. They are very dharmic. So he was doubtful. What will happen? What if my sons don't win? If they give up the kingdom. He was worried about that. This holy place can influence Arjuna and all these other people very favorably because they are very virtuous. And Sanjaya here is relaying this message to Dhritarashtra. Whatever will happen on the war field, Sanjaya is going to explain that to Dhritarashtra. He was a student of Vyasamuni, and by the mercy of Vyasamuni, Sanjaya was able to envision the battlefield of Kurukshetra. They were just sitting in one room, but he could envision everything. He could see everything. Actually, both Pandavas and sons of Dhritarashtra, they both belong to the same family. Pandavas also, they are called Pandavas, but actually they are also coming from the same lineage. They are also Kurus, coming from the same thing, right? It's just separating them and calling them Pandavas. They are also actually Kauravas in one sense. He's purposely claiming only his sons as Kurus, and he separates the sons of Pandu from the family heritage. So that is his. That's how we can understand his heart, how envious he is. He doesn't want to share anything. He wants only his children to enjoy the kingdom. And now, whatever it is, Lord Krishna is present on the battlefield, right? He's the father of religion. When he is there, definitely there is going to be, some positive outcome. Just like in the paddy field, they remove all the weeds. Plants are taken out. Those which are not required, they're taken out, and all this gets cleaned up, right? The garden gets cleaned up. Just like that, Krishna will wipe out all these unwanted people, like Dhritarashtra's sons, Duryodhana, and all these people, and he will establish religious persons headed by Yudhishthira. Okay, in South India, especially on auspicious occasions like Griha Pravesham and all, housewarming ceremony, we boil milk, and then what will happen if you add some curds or lemon to it? It's going to curdle like this, right? You can see how it separates. So same thing Dhritarashtra is doing. He's separating his brother's children. He's calling Kim Akurvata Sanjaya is asking, what Mamakaha Pandavas, my sons and Pandu's sons, what are they doing? They both, they come from a royal family. It's not a very big problem for him to share the kingdom and include all of them. But his heart is very envious. He's calling like, what Pandu's children and my children, what are they doing? What did they do? That's how he speaks. So it shows. And he's asking, what will they do? They're already on the battlefield. What will they do? They're obviously going to fight. So if somebody gives you rasgulla, obviously you're going to eat it, right? It's something so sweet and so delicious. Something like that. He's asking a very obvious question because he's very doubtful about the outcome, the war. That's why. Dharma kshetre, Kurukshetre, Mamaka Pandavaha. My children, Pandu's children. Kimakurvata. What are they doing? What are they going to do? Okay, Sanjaya said, O king, after looking over the army arranged in military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhana went to his teacher and spoke the following words. Now we know Dhritarashtra was blind from birth, but actually he was bereaved of spiritual vision also. And he knew very well his sons are also like that. when it comes to matters of religion, they are also as envious, just like him. But Pandavas were not like that. They were very pious by birth. Now Sanjaya understands why he is asking Kim Akurvata Sanjaya. So to encourage him, he's saying, your son, they're not going to compromise. Don't worry. He's relaying the message, saying that Duryodhana saw the military force of Pandavas, and now immediately, after seeing, he went to the commander-in-chief, Dronacharya, to inform him about the position, what is happening. So he's gone there to discuss with him. And then Duryodhana is a perfect politician, he's quite fit to be a politician. He knows how to deal with all this. And then here they're calling him King Duryodhana, but still he had to go to the commander-in-chief, to discuss all these matters. And he appears very diplomatic, but actually is quite fearful. Inside he has this fear. When he saw the military arrangement on the Pandava side, he was actually a little bit fearful. O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada. How does he look? What do you think his feelings are right now, looking at his face? There is only one Mataji who is answering. You can all just say something. It's fine if the answer is wrong. You can take a guess. How does Duryodhana look here? What do you think he is thinking, feeling?
He looks fearful.
Yeah, he looks kind of, bewildered. He looks angry. He looks confused. Because his heart is invested in winning only. He doesn't even care that Duryodhana is his, Dronacharya is his teacher, Acharya. When Arjuna was about to begin the battle, when he saw Dronacharya, he offered his respects. He shot an arrow and flowers, he offered respects. But here, Duryodhana, this is how he is approaching his guru. He wanted to point out all the defects of Dronacharya. He's saying, we know about, he's mentioning son of Drupada. We know about Drupada and Dronacharya, does anyone know that they had a quarrel? There was some misunderstanding between Drupada and Dronacharya. Do you know about it? There was a misunderstanding between them. There was a little, there was a quarrel. Because of that, King Drupada performed a sacrifice. And because of that sacrifice, as a result of that sacrifice, he had a son who would be able to kill Dronacharya. Now, Dronacharya knew this very well, but in spite of that, he was very liberal. He accepted him as a student when they brought him to him. He accepted and he also taught him. He imparted all the military secrets, military education, everything. Now that's what Duryodhana is saying. He's saying, look, you took him as your student, taught him everything. Now he has arranged the military phalanx on the other side. So now by saying all this, he's telling, don't be lenient to them. He knows Arjuna is his most affectionate and brilliant student. So he's telling, I don't want any kind of leniency in the battle because we don't want to lose. He's telling him to not to show the same kind of leniency. Duryodhana describing warriors of opposing army. Here in this army are many heroic men equal in fighting to Bhima and Arjuna, great fighters like Yudhana, Virata and Drupada. Duryodhana knew the strength of Bhima and Arjuna, so he compared others with them. Drishtadumna was not very important, but still he knows, he's mentioning everyone because he knows each of them is as formidable as Bhima and Arjuna. Okay. Duryodhana names more warriors. There are also great heroic powerful fighters like Drishtaketu, Chekitana, Kashiraja, Purujit, Kunti Bhoja and Shaibya. Duryodhana names more warriors. There are the mighty Yudhamanyu, the very powerful Uttamauja, the son of Subhadra and the son sons of Draupadi. All of these warriors are great chariot fighters. Okay, Duryodhana will now describe his warriors. But for your information, O best of the Brahmanas, let me tell you about the captains who are especially qualified to lead my military force. There are personalities like Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashwathama, Vikarna, the son of Somadatta, called Bhurishrava, who are always victorious in battle. He's mentioning some of the exceptional heroes in the battle, on his side. Vikarna is his brother. Actually, when Draupadi Vastrapaharana was going on, they wanted to strip her, actually was one who opposed. He's Duryodhana's brother, but actually he felt that was not right. He actually spoke. He said, she's our sister-in-law. We're not supposed to insult her like this. This is wrong. But nobody heard him. Actually, he's a good person. And there was Ashwathama, Somadatta, and Bhurishrava is mentioning all these people. Okay, who would like to recite this? Does anyone want to recite this shloka? Hare Krishna Puja Mataji, yes Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Verse 1.9. Anne cha bhava shura mad arte tyakta jivata nana shastra praharana sarve yuddha visharada. There are many other heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. All of them are well equipped with different kinds of weapons, and all are experienced in military science. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. And he's saying they're all determined to lay down their lives, they are here, they are ready to die for me. That's such an inauspicious thing to say, right? When you're starting something, say something positive. It's as if he's already concluded, the statement is like, it's concluded that all of them will die in the battle of Kurukshetra for having joined his party, right? He's very sinful. So obviously, they are going to die. So I think he's also kind of confident of his victory because he has some powerful people on his side. Duryodhana's comparative assessment and conclusion. Our strength is immeasurable and we are perfectly protected by grandfather Bhishma, whereas the strength of the Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhima, is limited. He's just estimating the comparative strength. He has grandfather Bhishma on his side. Bhishma is the most experienced general on his side. He thinks, because of him and because of the strength of his army, the armed forces, it's like immeasurable. We are quite strong. That's what he's saying. But when you compare, the forces of Pandavas are limited. That's what he's saying, because they are protected by Bhima also, who is less experienced compared to Bhishma. Saying like a fig in the presence of Bhishma. Aparyaptam, immeasurable or insufficient, protected by Bhishma. Pandavas are protected by Bhima, insignificant as to Bhishma. Duryodhana is envious of Bhima, only he is capable of defeating him. Duryodhana is always envious of Bhima. When he was little also he had given him poison. So he also knew that if he will ever die, it will be, Bhima who will kill him. So he was kind of, he knew his strength. Duryodhana appeals to other warriors to support Bhishma. All of you must now give full support to grandfather Bhishma as you stand at your respective strategic points of entrance into the phalanx of the army. See, Duryodhana felt that for Kurus, victory dependent on the presence of Bhishma Dev. He praised the prowess of Bhishma, but then there were others present there, right? He didn't want them to feel like as if they were considered less important. So he's trying to be very diplomatic here. He's adjusting the situation. He's telling others, undoubtedly Bhishma is a great hero, but he's also old. So everyone must protect him. When he's engaged in fighting, the enemy might take advantage of that. And so he's telling you all must stay in your strategic points, positions, and you should not, let Bhishma get disturbed. You should not allow the enemy to break this phalanx. So he's encouraging others also. Here's another thing, he's very confident of the support of Bhishma Dev and Dronacharya. Do you know why? Why is he so confident that Bhishma and Dronacharya will support him? Why do you think he's so confident? You can take a guess again. It's okay to be wrong. You can say something. Chaitali Mataji, Hare Krishna Mataji, yes Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. During the Vastraharan of Draupadi, Bhishma Dev and Dronacharya was quiet. They didn't said anything. That's why he was confident.
Yes, Mataji, thank you so much. So he knew that, since they did not speak one word also when Arjuna's wife, Draupadi, she went, in a helpless situation, she asked for help actually. She asked for justice, but none of them did anything. So they were just quiet. So he thinks, okay, now also they'll just, give up and just help him. Okay, another verse. Whoever wants to recite can raise their hand and recite. Who would like to recite? If we don't know how to recite, it's fine. I'll correct you, or we'll learn. That's how we learn. If we don't try, we'll never learn. So just take make an effort to recite. Let's see how it is.
तस्या सञ्जनयं हर्षं कुरु वृद्धा पितामहः सिंहनादं विनोद्योजै शङ्खं दद्मौ प्रतापवान्.
You can read the translation also.
Okay, Mataji. Then Bhishma, the great valiant grandsire of the Kuru dynasty, the grandfather of the fighters, blew his conch shell very loudly, making a sound like the roar of a lion, giving Duryodhana joy.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you. So now Bhishma actually understands what's going on in Duryodhana's mind and heart. He understands, so he's not feeling so, kind of little bit, he's kind of panicky and little fearful. So out of compassion for him, to cheer him up, he'll blow the conch shell, saying that I will put my efforts and fight. This is my duty and I will conduct this fight with all my heart and soul. He's assuring him that at the same time, we blow conch shell on auspicious occasions when there's a puja or something, that is for Vishnu, Lord Vishnu. And here, this is like symbolism, okay? Because Krishna is on the other side. So it is like assuring, telling that Duryodhana, you have no chance of victory in this battle because Lord Krishna is on the other side. The conch shell is also meant to please Krishna. Okay, Bhishma, out of compassion and to cheer Duryodhana, blew the conch shell very loudly. Duryodhana, defeat is certain since Lord Krishna is on the other side. Bhishma as a matter of duty only. Thereafter, everyone started blowing their conch shells, bugles, etc. Another verse. Hare Krishna, who would like to recite?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Mataji.
Verse 1.14. Tatta sevitar hayar yukte mahati syadane stite tam madhava pandava shaiva divyau sankha prada mato. On the other side, both Lord Krishna and Arjuna, stationed on a great chariot drawn by white horses, sounded their transcendental conch shells.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Lipsa Mataji, you had also raised your hand. You can recite the next verse. And there are some slides which have so many words. You can read those also. So here, the conch shells in the hands of Krishna and Arjuna are described as transcendental. That shows there is no hope of victory for the other side because Krishna is on this side, Pandava side. And victory is always with people like Pandavas because Lord Krishna is always associated with such people. And whenever and wherever the Lord is present, goddess of fortune is also present. She is always with Lord Krishna. So victory and fortune both were awaiting Arjuna. And this chariot which he is driving, which Lord Krishna is driving, on which Arjuna is situated, actually was donated by Agni Dev. So this chariot was capable of conquering all sides, wherever it was drawn, all over the three worlds. So it's a special chariot. Observing the armies on the battlefield. Lord Krishna, his consul, the name of his consul is Panchajanya. Arjuna's is Devadatta. Yudhishthira's is Ananta Vijaya. Bhima's is Poundra. Nakula's is Sughosha. Sahadev is consuls. Okay, who would like to read this? Different names of Krishna, Arjuna, and Bhima. Lipsa Mataji, would you like to read? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji. Yes. The name Krishna, the meaning is all attractive. Rishikesha, master of the senses or owner of the senses. Madhava, husband of the goddess of fortune. Achyuta, infallible one. Madhusudana, killer of demon named Madhu. Govinda, one who gives pleasure to senses or cows. Vasudeva, son of Vasudeva. Devaki Nandana, son of Devaki. Yashoda Nandana, son of Yashoda. Parthasarthi, charioteer of Partha, Arjuna. Keshava, killer of demon Krishna. Killer of demon Keshi. Janardana, maintainer of all living entities or killer of all living entities. Dhananjay, Arjuna, conqueror of wealth. Partha, son of Pritha, Kunti Devi. Gudakesha, one who conquers sleep. Vrikodara, Bhima, voracious eater and perform Herculean tasks.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Vasudeva is Krishna. Vasudeva is his father. When you say Vasudeva, it means that is Krishna's name. Vasudev is his father. Vasudev, Vasudev. Okay, son of Vasudeva. Okay, one more verse. Who wants to listen? Everyone is so quiet. Deepa Mataji, Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Sagosho Dhritarashtranam Hridayani. What?
Dhartarashtranam.
Okay. Dhartarashtranam Hridayani Vyadaryat Nabhascha Prithvim Chaiva Tumulo Abhiyan Nadayan. The blowing of these different conch shells became uproarious and thus vibrating both in the sky and on the earth. It shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. And Bhishma and others on the side of Duryodhana blew their respective conch shells. There was no heartbreaking on the part of the Pandavas. But here it says, hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra were shattered as the sounds vibrated by the Pandavas party. Why is that so? Why Pandavas' hearts were not shattered? You know why? Pandavas had complete confidence, full confidence in Lord Krishna. They had taken shelter of the Supreme Lord, right? So there is nothing to fear. Devotees are never in fear. They are always, they had transcendental. It said, if you read Krishna book and other books, you will learn how Pandavas were always so calm. They were in completely transcendental peace. You will never see them very bewildered and scared and fearful and all that, because they are always Krishna. That is why there's nothing to fear for them. Even in the midst of the greatest calamity, a devotee is not at all afraid. Observing the armies in the battlefield was 1.20. Another verse. Who wants to recite this?
Can I, Mataji?
Okay, there are two people. If you raise your hand, it'll become easier. Because if 2-3 people are raising, now you can go in that order. It's Lipsa Mataji. Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji, go ahead.
Yes, Mataji. अथ व्यवस्थितान् दृष्ट्वा धार्तराष्ट्रान् कपिध्वजः प्रवृत्ते शस्त्रसम्पाते धनुरुद्यम्य पाण्डवः ऋषिकेशं तदा वाक्यम् इदमाह महीपते.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
It was the emblem of Hanuman on the flag of Arjuna, another sign of victory, because Hanuman served Lord Rama in the battle between Rama and Ravana, and Lord Rama emerged victorious. Now both Rama and Hanuman are present on this chariot. Okay, because Krishna and Rama, they're the same. Lord Krishna is Lord Ram himself. So wherever Lord Ram is, his eternal servitor Hanuman is also present, and his eternal consort, goddess of fortune, is also present. So Arjuna had no reason to fear any enemies whatsoever. And the master of the senses, Lord Krishna, was personally present there to give him direction. So all good counsel was available to Arjuna. So there was nothing to worry at all. These are all auspicious conditions. These were all arranged by the Lord himself, because Arjuna was his eternal devotee. That's why he arranged all these auspicious conditions for him. These are all signs of victory. Okay, at that time, Arjuna, the son of Pandu, seated in the chariot, bearing the flag marked with Hanuman, took up his bow and prepared to shoot his arrows. O king, after looking at the sons of Dhritarashtra, drawn in military array, Arjuna then spoke to Lord Krishna these words. Arjuna's flag on the chariot has the emblem of Hanuman, devotee of Lord Rama, signs of victory, because Hanuman cooperated with Lord Rama and they both won the battle. Also, Lord Krishna is personally present at Rishikesha to direct his senses. Rishikesha means master of senses, master of everyone's senses. So all these signs indicate that the Pandavas are going to win the war from the get-go. Kurukshetra was a sacred place of pilgrimage, and then the chariot was capable of conquering all sides. The emblem of Hanuman, Rishikesha, proprietor of everyone's senses. Lord Krishna is also present. Bhagyalakshmi is there. The sound of the transcendental conch shells, auspicious, right? That was described just in our previous slides. And then Tyakta Jivita, ready to, he said, they're ready to lay down their lives. That was also another sign. And then Bhagavad-Gita was spoken on Mokshada Ekadashi. It's a very, very auspicious day. So these were Arjuna's, these are all signs which tell us that, the Pandavas are going to win. Auspicious signs. Arjuna's victory is assured. Signs of victory for the Pandavas. So someone can read this. Who is going to read this? Deepa Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Signs of victory for Pandavas. Krishna's personal presence confirms victory. Supreme personality of Godhead is the charioteer. Jayastu Pandu Putram Esham. Krishna as Rishikesha directly controls the senses of a pure devotee. Goddess of fortune. Whenever and wherever the Lord is present, the goddess of fortune is also there. She never lives without her husband, therefore all fortune is guaranteed. Venu. Kurukshetra is a holy place, effect of a holy place on the war. Hanumanji on Arjuna's flag. Hanumanji also helped Lord Rama in gaining victory. Symbol of Vishnu. Conch shell is a symbol of Vishnu. This is indirectly indicated by Bhishma and Pandavas' conch shells. Transcendental conch shells. Krishna's and Arjuna's conch shells mentioned as Divya. Bhima's conch shells to pacify Duryodhana. Agni Deva's chariot given to Arjuna. It is capable of conquering all directions. Shattering of hearts. Conch shells of Pandavas shattered Kaurava's hearts. Pandava's hearts not shattered because of confidence of taking shelter of Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Arjuna requests infallible draw his chariot in the middle of battlefield. And here, the relationship between Lord Krishna and his servitor, it's very sweet and it's transcendental. Out of his costless mercy, he's become, his charioteer, serving his friend. That's why he's called infallible, because he never fails in his affection to his for his devotees. He's always there for them. Here is, imagine now, as a devotee, as a servitor, a devotee is always ready to serve the Lord, render service. But here, nobody can order Krishna, nobody can order God, do this for me or anything like that. On his own, he takes great pleasure in seeking an opportunity to render some service to his pure devotees. That's why you see Krishna here driving the chariot. So beautiful, the relationship is so beautiful. One more verse. Who would like to recite this? Sahili, Ashish Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Ashish Prabhu has also raised. Let's give him a chance. Thank you, Prabhuji. You can recite.
Thank you, Mataji. Arjuna requests infallible Lord to draw his chariot in the middle of battlefield. Arjun uvach senayurubhyor madhye ratham sthapaya mechuta yavadetani rikshe aham yodhu kama vasthitan kermaya saha yudhavam naranam samudyami.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Okay, Arjuna wants to see who have come to fight, wishing to please Duryodhana. Arjuna had no intention of proposing peace negotiations or anything, because that was all done. He just wanted to see, to find out an estimation of their strength. He wanted to see who has come that side. Again, who's going to read this? Somebody can read, Let's see. There was someone else who had raised their hand also. Apart from Jayant, Prabhuji, please read, Prabhuji. Discussions in purports of verses.
Discussions in purports of verses. Meaning of Achyuta, infallible, addressed. So, because the Lord never fails in affection for his devotees, thus engaged in the service of his friend out of his costless mercy, did not hesitate to carry out the order of Arjuna as his charioteer. Still his supreme position as Rishikesha, the Lord of senses, was unchallenged. Relationship between Lord and devotee is sweet and transcendental. Why Arjuna asked to move the chariot amidst the armies? Because Arjuna was forced to fight against his wish because of obstinacy of Duryodhana, anxious to see who were the leading men present with a desire to fight, to please Duryodhana. They all must be birds of the same feather, to see how much they were bent upon fighting, to estimate the strength which he had to face, although the confidence of victory because of Krishna sitting on his side. But he has no intention. Sorry, Mataji. But he had no intention of peacemaking at this moment. Sri Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So when Krishna takes a chariot, this is what is happening to Arjuna. He feels stressed and grieved and sad and helpless. This is what is going to happen now. He was quite focused and balanced until he came to see all of them who were ready to fight against Pandavas. But when he saw, you see in the next few slides also, you see the photo images that we show. His helmet is fallen, his Gandiya bow has slipped, and he gives 5 reasons why he doesn't want to fight. He says compassion. He says, my family is the object of my compassion. He says, there's no enjoyment in this. If family is dead and gone, whom should I enjoy with? Our idea generally in this world is we enjoy with family and society and friends, right? And then you show off. That's what it is. You come and you call all of them. You enjoy with them. That's how it is. This is when all of them are gone. They have no family. How am I going to enjoy? So he's thinking on those terms now. And he says it's a sin to fight because there are enders on the other side. These enders should not be given a verbal fight also. Forget about picking up weapons and fighting with them. He's saying it's all sin. So I'm not going to commit any sins. Then he's talking about family traditions also. He says if elders are gone, they're all slain, there will be no traditions in the family, there will be nobody to guide the youngsters and nobody to protect the women, and who will offer oblations to all the pitrus, departed souls. So he's thinking all this will happen and there will be unwanted populations. Women may get corrupted, polluted. Because of that, they may give birth to unwanted population and that will lead to Varna Shankara. And these unwanted people can corrupt the society, bring about so many wrong things. There will be devastation of all the community and family projects. He says he doesn't want to be the reason for all this because unwanted children will flood the human race and there will be war and pestilence and whatnot. So he's saying all this. And then also he says he's also very talks about this. I'm very confused. So Arjuna knows he's a Kshatriya, he knows he has to fight, but he knows his duties very well. But at this moment, he's like this, he's feeling all this. He's quite indecisive. So another verse, who is going to read this? Recite. Yes. Yes, Ashok Prabhuji, are you, no, he has not reached. Okay, Ashish Prabhu, you can go ahead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sanjaya uvachu evamukto rishikeshu gudakeshen bharata senayor ubyor madhye sthapayitva rathotmamam. Sanjaya said, O descendant of Bharata, having thus been addressed by Arjuna, Lord Krishna drew up the fine chariot in the midst of the armies of both parties.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So here, Arjuna is referred as Gudakesha. Gudaka means sleep. So one who has conquered sleep is called Gudakesha. Sleep, Gudakesha, sleep also means ignorance. So Arjuna had conquered both sleep and ignorance. Why he had conquered ignorance? How had he conquered ignorance? Gudakesha, that's what it means here. Because by conquering ignorance means he, he's an eternal friend to Lord Krishna. When we are in ignorance, we are all in ignorance because people, if you call someone ignorant, that means they don't know who they are. They don't know their spirit souls. They are all attached to material, relationships and matter and everything. And they cannot think about Krishna. They don't know their original relationship with Krishna. But Arjuna was not like that. He was a great devotee of Krishna. He could not forget Krishna even for a moment. That is the nature of a devotee. Either in waking or in sleep, he was always thinking of Krishna, his name, qualities, pastimes. That is called Krishna consciousness, actually. So he was in samadhi in one way because he was constantly thinking about Lord Krishna. So Krishna also could understand him very well because he is Rishikesha. He understands what's going on in Krishna's mind, Arjuna's mind. And, by placing the chariot there, he knows what he is feeling inside, what he's thinking. That's why that word Rishikesha here. Okay, another verse. Deepa Mataji, Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji, you can recite. I'm not sure if she can. You can keep your hands raised so that we know, whoever wants to recite, we can go in that order. I think she's not able to unmute. Manohar Punjabi Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji, you can recite.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Bhishma Drona, verse 1.25. Bhishma Drona Pramukata Sarvesham cha Mahikshittam Uvacha Partha Pashyatan Samavetan Kurun iti. In the presence of Bhishma, Drona, and all the other chieftains of the world, the Lord said, just behold, Partha, all the Kurus, please, Mataji, screen will have to go.
On the
Mataji,
Kurus
screen.
assembled here. Just
Let
behold
us size the
Partha.
screen a bit.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. I'll read this. Just behold Partha, all the Kurus assembled here. See, Krishna is speaking here. Partha means son of Pritha, Kunti. Am I audible? Just because I see one
Yes,
chat message.
Mataji.
Thank you so much. See, as a friend, he wanted to inform Arjuna that, you are son of Pritha also. And they are related. Krishna and Arjuna are actually related because Kunti Devi is Vasudev's sister. That's how they are cousins. And he's a friend also. He's telling, because of that only I'm here to help you. He's agreed to be a charioteer. He's a friend and a relative. Now, what did Krishna mean by saying, oh, just behold, Partha, all the Kurus? There was no need to speak, right? He would have just taken the chariot. But actually, Krishna knows what's going on in Arjuna's mind. There is some disturbance going on in his mind. That's why he's saying, oh, look, Kauravas, look on the Kurus. By saying that, look at your family. That's what it means. Look, Kurus are standing here. So that actually hits him very hard. So it's like he's saying, oh, and then he says, it's as if, like a friend teasing the other one in a joking way. He's telling, oh, is this going to stop you from fighting now? It's like that. In that mood, he says, look at the Kurus here. By saying that, oh, look at your family, you're going to fight with them like that, it's kind of like that. But it was actually, because he's saying this because he can predict Arjuna's mind. That's why he says that in a joking way. But that's what is going to happen now, right? He doesn't want to fight also. He'll say, I cannot now. So let's go on. Discussion in the purport. Lord as Rishikesha, Lord knows Arjuna's mind and thus knows everything, being the super soul of all living entities. Arjuna, referred to as Partha, indicates son of Aunt Pritha. Arjuna sees all the relatives assembled on both the sides. Discussion in the purport 1.26. Father and mother, myself, and there is teacher, there are other friends, there is maternal uncle, brothers and sisters, sons, friends, well-wishers, grandfathers, father and mother. So these are all kind of relatives. There. It's actually going to bother him now. When the son of Kunti, Arjuna, saw all these different grades of friends and relatives, he became overwhelmed with compassion and spoke thus. Arjuna's doubts and lamentation. Arjuna's symptoms of compassion. Who is going to read this? Okay, Deepa Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Arjuna's symptoms of compassion. Parts of the body and symptoms: limbs quivering, mouth drying up, whole body trembling, hair of the body standing on the end, hands, Gandiva bow slipping, skin burning, legs unable to stand any longer due to impatience, forgetting myself and mind reeling due to weakness of the heart, sees only causes of misfortune. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Here, Arjuna is actually a genuine devotee of Lord Krishna. He's a pure devotee. He's overwhelmed with compassion for the people, not just from his side. He's looking at the people on the other side also and crying. So he's so much compassion. He felt compassion, okay? Because, he knew, like, if the war, if it happens, what will happen? All of them are going to die. So he's thinking on those terms now. Such symptoms are not to be mistaken as weakness. He was a very brave warrior, very well qualified for this battle. But because of his soft-heartedness, he's like this. You can see all the symptoms mentioned here because of his soft-heartedness. A pure devotee of the Lord is actually very soft-hearted. This is a characteristic of a pure devotee. He's not a weak person. Discussion in the purport. Arjuna's symptoms: body trembling, hair standing on end, Gandiva slipping, skin burning. Bodily symptoms can manifest due to great spiritual ecstasy, which do not cause any fear, rather ecstasy. Great fear, material condition. Arjuna's symptoms due to fear, due to loss of life, material conception of life. Material conception of life, materialistic conception. We are product of matter and we are this material body. Life's ultimate goal is only material pleasures through senses. That is materialistic conception of life. Only enjoyment. I want to enjoy. Materialistic concept. There are two kinds of trembling. Here, his body was trembling, right? Two kinds of trembling, standing off the hair on end. Such sensations will occur when a person is in great spiritual ecstasy or is in great danger, great fear under materialistic conditions. So this is what is going to happen if a person is in ecstasy or is in fear. Now, a person who is in ecstasy, he has no fear. He will that is transcendental realization. There will be no fear. So this was not fear. Actually, what he's feeling is material conditions. He's thinking, oh, these people are going to die, and how am I going to face this? How am I going to, all these different reasons he's giving. Because of that, his heart is burning, and then he's feeling all this burning sensation on the skin. All this is because of material fear, which is loss of life. So they are all going to die. He is worried about that. Material conception of life. Arjuna is disturbed because of materialistic conception of life. Verse 1.30. I am now unable to stand here any longer. I am forgetting myself and my mind is reeling. I see only causes of misfortune. O Krishna, killer of the Kesh demon. Due to his impatience, he's saying, I cannot even stand. He's forgetting himself because of his weakness of his mind. And people who are too affected by material conditions, or they're too attached to material things, this is what will happen. They'll be in bewildering conditions like this. They'll be fearful. They'll lose mental equilibrium. This is how, these are the symptoms of such people. So here he's only imagining painful reverses in the battlefield. He says, I will not be happy if I gain victory. Even if I win, I will not be happy, because that is going to cause more lamentation for me, because all these people will be gone. This is right. They'll think only about themselves. Everybody is interested in his own self-interest. So I won't be happy. This is not going to make me happy. Oh, this is my, I love my family. This is how people talk all the time. What is our real self-interest? Our real self-interest is in Vishnu only. In our devotional service to Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna. But here he's talking about himself. Okay, so that is how conditioned souls behave. We conditioned souls forget our real self-interest. That's why we suffer material pains. That is what this indicates. I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsmen in this battle, nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness. So without knowing our self-interest, we conditioned souls, we are attracted to bodily relationships, all this matter. We look for happiness in the material happiness, right? We think, oh, look, this will make me happy, that will make me happy. We forget where this material happiness is coming from. That is also coming from the Lord only. We forget all that. We just be worried about our own self-interest, our own sense gratification. So here Arjuna appears to have forgotten even the moral codes of being a Kshatriya, actually. The way he's speaking, that's how it looks like, right? And it's like a person who is not hungry. Say, for instance, a person is not hungry. Prabhupada writes this example in the purport. He will not be inclined to cook. If your stomach is full and you're feeling very satisfied, you will not feel like going and cooking any new dishes, right? Sometimes I will not make lunch now because I'm already full. So that's how he's feeling. He's like, I don't want to fight. I don't want to kill all of these kinsmen, and I don't see any happiness. He is ready to go beg and live in a forest, live a secluded life. He says all that in frustration, He says, I'll live secluded life in frustration, but I don't want to fight. But for a Kshatriya, it's not easy to go and live like that. He's a Kshatriya and he needs a kingdom for his existence. And how will he get a kingdom now? By fighting with his own cousins. So wherever he goes, he's going to take his nature and go. A Kshatriya cannot become a Brahmana just like that, because his nature is to fight. So he's not able to understand all this right now. So he's talking like this. Arjuna not ready to fight even in exchange of 3 words. And he's going to go. So Govind will say, and by telling Govinda, what mean Govinda means one who gives pleasure to the cows and senses. He's saying, oh Govinda, means, oh Govinda, you are supposed to make me happy. You're going to you should make my senses happy. So he's telling, oh Krishna, you're supposed to make me happy, and he calls him Madhava also, saying that you're supposed to do something auspicious. What is this? You're recommending this, something like that. Govinda does not mean that Krishna is going to satisfy our senses. We cannot. It's like demanding. I order this and satisfy my senses. Oh God, give me this. I want to feel happy. That's not how it is. If we satisfy the senses of Govinda, automatically we will become happy. That's what it means. It's not the other way around. But here Arjuna is calling him Govinda because he wants to be happy. He's saying, make my senses happy. So that is how it is. Okay, let's move on and let's see what happens next. Sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Therefore, it is not proper for us to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and our friends. What should we gain, O Krishna, husband of the goddess of fortune? And how could we be happy by killing our own kinsmen? And we'll read about 6 kind of aggressors who definitely need to be punished. Read about it. They are like a poison giver, one who sets fire to somebody's house, one who attacks someone with deadly weapons, and one who plunders riches, kidnaps another person's wife, occupies another person's land. These people need to be punished. They need to be killed. So it is all, the rules are there already. Okay, so and these are all aggressors actually. And Arjuna actually is showing a very saintly character here. He wants to be very saintly. He's not ordinary. He wants to be saintly here. But actually, such saintliness should not be, it's not meant for Kshatriyas. Being saintly is good, but it should not come across as cowardly. Because Lord Rama was very saintly. Everyone wanted to live in his kingdom. But when Ravana kidnapped his wife, he did not show any mercy. He taught him enough lessons. Just like that, Arjuna is supposed to get up and fight. But he's also saying, Madhava. He's saying, oh, Madhava, you're supposed to do something auspicious. Why are you, you should not make me do something which is going to bring misfortune. That's what he means by calling him Madhava. And Krishna never brings misfortune to anyone, not to his pure devotees. Arjuna, fearful of sinful reaction. 6 kinds of aggressors. Poison giver, one who sets fire to the house, one who attacks with deadly weapons, one who plunders riches, one who occupies another's land, one who kidnaps another's wife, can be killed as punishment. No sinful reaction for this. Kauravas did all 6 kinds of aggression on the Pandavas, hence killing them would not give any sinful reaction. Arjuna calling Krishna as Madhava, indicating that Krishna should not engage Arjuna. That would ultimately bring about misfortune. Krishna, however, never brings misfortune to anyone, say nothing of his devotees. O Janardana, although these men, their hearts overtaken by greed, see no fault in killing one's family or quarreling with friends, why should we can see the crime in destroying a family, engage in this act or sin? So, actually, when a Kshatriya is invited to fight, if somebody is challenging them, they're supposed to fight. They cannot refuse to fight or gamble. That's how it is. And here Arjuna is actually obligated to fight. He cannot refuse to fight because he's being challenged to fight. They wanted peaceful negotiations. Such things did not happen. And Duryodhana is bent upon fighting. So definitely he has to get up and fight. And he's seeing only evil consequences. That's why he's saying, I'm not going to accept this challenge. He's considering all the pros and cons and He's saying, I will not fight. With the destruction of the dynasty, the eternal family tradition is vanquished, and thus the rest of the family becomes involved in irreligion. In Varnashrama institution, what happens is there are a lot of principles to be followed, religious traditions. All these rules are already set. These rules actually help the family members attain spiritual values, and all the elders will guide the youngsters. They perform a lot of purificatory ceremonies, and the elders are actually responsible for purifying processes in the family, right from birth until death. If all these elders are dead, what will happen? Such family traditions and purification may stop. That's what he's saying. And younger family members will develop irreligious habits. So he's telling all this, how can we fight? We cannot do all this. Arjuna sees destruction of family. Who would want to read? We can read this. Manor Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Would you like to read this, Prabhuji?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Observing the armies of the battlefield, verse 37 to 39. Arjuna sees destruction of family. 37. Arjuna sees, due to greed, the opposite party is ready to fight and kill each other. 38. Arjuna understands result of war, destruction of family. He sees no benefits in participating in this sinful activity. Kshatriya should not refuse invitation of gambling and war. Arjuna sees the other party is blind of effect of this challenge. He, knowing he evil consequence, not ready to fight. 39. Destruction of dynasty, family tradition vanquished, family involved in irreligion. In Varnashrama system, elder members of the family responsible for purifying processes in family from birth to death. Death of elder will stop purification process. Young members will become
Irreligious. Death of elder will stop.
irreligions, lose chance for spiritual salvation. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. When irreligion is prominent in the family, O Krishna, the women of the family become polluted, and from the degradation of womanhood, O descendant of Vrishni, comes unwanted progeny. So, what is the basic principle of peace, prosperity, and spiritual progress in the society? What is the basic principle? Good population. If you want good population in the society, then everyone can become, prosperous. Everyone will be peaceful. That's how it is. And in Varnashrama's religious principles, they were all designed such that all will prevail, and that will actually keep the entire community, society very safe, very peaceful. And also he's mentioning women here. Okay, how does good population come about? Like, what does that depend on? It depends on chastity and faithfulness of the women in the society. And how do we keep our women chaste and faithful? Prabhupada explains that very beautifully in the purport. It says, Varnashrama, whatever it recommends, he's written that very nicely. Women should engage in religious practices. When they engage themselves in religious practices, they will not be misled into adultery and other things. When there's nobody to protect them or guide them, what will happen? They'll be misled. It is like this. Children are very prone to be misled. Just like that, women are also very prone to degradation. So if that happens, again, unwanted population, they cannot focus on family life. They cannot bring up good children. Wrong, all these men can take advantage of them. So they require protection by the elders in the family. So because of this, he's telling, if there is no good population, again, we're going to suffer. Varna Shankara. If Varnashrama dharma fails, women will naturally become free to act however they want. They'll mix with all kind of men. All kind of things will happen. Unwanted things will happen. So he's telling, even women also will become irresponsible. If unwanted children flood the human race, what will happen? There will be war and pestilence. An increase of unwanted population certainly causes hellish life both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. The ancestors of such corrupt families fall down, and because the performances for offering them food and water are entirely stopped. For people who are engaged in fruitive activities, they are not in devotional service. Such people, what should they do? They should offer oblations as per the rules and regulations given in the Vedic scriptures. Why? Because the person who is offering this, whatever oblations to the forefathers, is actually helping them. Because sometimes they won't have got another body, they will be ghosts, and they'll be going through some kind of problems. If they offer, because these ceremonies are actually performed by worshipping Lord Vishnu. In the end, it's all Narayana Samarpayami, Krishna Arpanamastu, it's like that. So whatever happens, they are actually offering this as a prasad to that person, and these youngsters who are performing these ceremonies help the other person to move forward in their journey. If they can get another body or whatever. So when it's like they're offering prasadam to that forefather who is left the body. So it's like this. If these kind of things are not happening in the family, the elders, the forefathers also suffer. But a person who is in devotional service can actually deliver hundreds and thousands of forefathers. Just by chanting Harinam, he can actually deliver all of his forefathers. One beautiful example we have is Prahlad Maharaj. Because of Prahlad Maharaj, Hiranyakashipu got liberation, right? Just like that. Okay, degradation of society. Who's going to read this? Deepa Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Mataji.
Observe degradation of society. Number 1, the superiors are killed. Destruction of the dynasty. Destruction of eternal family tradition. Vedic rituals will stop. Irreligion predominates in the family. Women become polluted, unchaste. Unwanted progeny, Varna Sankara. Present society, all kinds of community projects and family welfare activities are devastated. Results in chaos in the society. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Community projects for Varnashrama Dharma, the 4 orders of human society, all this. They're all designed to enable human beings to attain ultimate salvation. And all these irresponsible leaders in the society can just, they're like blind. They'll just lead people to chaotic situations. That's what he's trying to say. Arjuna says destruction of family society. Varnashrama system for peace, prosperity, and spiritual progress in life. Failure of Varnashrama system. Elder members of the family responsible for purifying processes in family from birth to death. Death of elder will stop purification process. Young members will become religious. They lose chance for spiritual salvation. When religion is prominent in family, women like children need protection. Good population depends on faithfulness and chastity of women. Women become polluted. They give rise to unwanted progeny and Varna Shankaraha. Hellish conditions, family who destroyed family tradition. Ancestors are not delivered. Fall down. Irresponsible leader bring chaos in society by destroying Sanatana Dharma. Risk of war and pestilence. So Arjuna is actually giving all these reasons. O Krishna, maintainer of the people, I have heard by disciplic succession that those whose family traditions are destroyed, they'll dwell always in hell. So he's saying, I have heard. He's heard from authorities. He's not basing his argument on his own personal experience. He's telling, I have heard, that's how we receive knowledge, by hearing from authority. So he's telling, how do we approach this kind of situations? Arjuna is actually teaching us. We should always learn from authorities, a person who is in knowledge. That's the right person. We should always approach someone who has real knowledge, true knowledge, and then from them we should understand what is correct, what is not correct. That's how it is. So he's telling, what should we do? These are all going to cause, these are the things that will lead us to chaotic situations. And this Varnashrama institution helps one not only to live a peaceful life in the society, it will also help in atonement, prayaschitta, by following our own rules and regulations given according to Varnashrama system. We can also do prayaschitta for our sinful activities, atonement. Otherwise, if we don't do that, if we don't go through our own sinful reactions and everything, we'll again enter hellish planets, more miserable life. Alas, how strange it is that we are preparing to commit greatly sinful acts, driven by the desire to enjoy royal happiness. We are intent on killing our own kinsmen. Okay, see what he's trying to say is sometimes people are very selfish, for some property or some jewelry or whatever, they can lie, they can go to any extent to kill their own family members. Such people exist in the society, right? He's saying, we don't want to be selfish like that. Arjuna wants to be saintly. He's saying, he's trying to be very, very conscious of his moral principles. He's saying we should avoid such activities. Better for me if the sons of Dhritarashtra, weapons in hand, were to kill me unarmed and unresisting on the battlefield. See, according to Kshatriya fighting principles, the custom is if the enemy is unarmed or is unwilling to fight, he will not be attacked. He should not be attacked. That's the rule. But here Arjuna has already decided that even if he is attacked, he will not fight. He's saying, I'm not, he should know, he wants this war to happen. He definitely wants to fight. All these are symptoms of soft-heartedness. He's very soft-hearted. That is why he's speaking like this. A great devotee of Lord is like this. However powerful he is, he will not misuse his power, misuse his strength. That's why he's talking like this. Sanjaya said, Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. Arjuna's reasons not to fight. By repeating all this, so many slides and so much information, when you are taking the quiz, it will be very easier for you because you can easily answer those questions because we are doing so many slides and we are actually doing more verses this time. In the 18 days course, it was like an overview, right? We did not do so many shlokas. So this is actually going to help you. You'll remember everything what you study here. Ashish Prabhuji, please go ahead and read, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Summary. Arjuna's reasons. Arjuna's reasons for not wishing to fight. 1.27 to 1.28. Compassion. Arjuna's compassion for those he is about to slay dictates he shouldn't fight. 1.31 to 1.35. 2.7 to 2.8. Enjoyment. Arjuna thinks he will not be able to enjoy his kingdom if the kingdom is won at the cost of the lives of his family members. 1.37 to 1.43. Destruction of family. Irreligion and unwanted progeny will overcome the family. Performance of traditional Varnashram-oriented Vedic rituals will end, and hell will await both the family and the destroyer of the family. 1.44 to 1.45 and 2.5. Saintliness and fear of sinful reactions. Arjuna thinks enjoying royal happiness is not worth the resulting sinful reactions for destroying the family and killing his superiors. 2.6. Indecision. Arjuna does not actually know which is better, conquering the enemy or being conquered by them. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. So compassion, enjoyment, sinful reaction, destruction of dynasty, and indecision. These are the reasons Arjuna is giving. Look at him, he is also crying. Look how he is. So, which can you relate to? Compassion or no enjoyment in family traditions, indecision? Okay. So let's move ahead now. This is the last slide. Summary. Observing the armies on the battlefield. Dhritarashtra's inquiry. Himakruvata Sanjaya said. Duryodhana's fear. Blowing of conscience. Arjuna's observation. Arjuna's reasons not to fight. Next, we will see how Lord Krishna inspires Arjuna to fight. From the next chapter, we'll see so many things happen. Arjuna will ask so many questions. Krishna will start answering those. So we'll meet next weekend. I'll just stop the live stream just a minute.